Here today with a dear friend of mine and someone I respect immensely in our profession, Dr. Barbara Horn, who works at the Indigo Vision Center in South Carolina. Dr. Horn is a 1998 graduate of the Michigan College of Optometry at Ferris State and past president of the MOA. In 2011, she was selected as Michigan's Optometrist of the Year. In 2018, she was South Carolina Optometric Physician Association's Optometrist of the Year. It's a mouthful. She earned numerous awards and accolades throughout her storied career, which isn't over yet. Dr. Horn was elected as a trustee to the AOA Board in June of 11, elected vice president in June of 17, and served as president of the AOA from 2019 to 2020. She's now immediate past president, and she practices full-time in South Carolina. And she's a 1992, I'm sorry, their children are Brooke and Mick, right? I got that right? What are their ages?
16 and 13, yes,
sir. We may have a little bit of a delay there. Well, anyhow, Dr. Horn, thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to throw up your little, throw up your little title. I'm so new at all this. Let's see, there you are. Bingo, I worked, didn't it? Anyhow, thanks for joining us today. Before we get into the questions that I had written down for you, I've got one question. First of all, do you think you're the first OD ever to win Optometrist of the Year in 2 different states?
You know, that's a good question. I have not yet researched that to know. So maybe next week or tomorrow I'll look that up. Good question.
All right, poll question for ODs on Facebook, right? That's something.
Yeah,
that's something.
Glazier, thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Barbara. It's great. It's great when you have a friend on, and you're our first OD interview ever on the show. So thank you for that. I thought about you immediately. You've done so much for the profession, and you have such a wealth of knowledge to share with our members, both professionally and clinically, and business-wise, as well as through your storied career with the AOA. Now, before we get into that, also, you recently, not so recently, migrated to South Carolina from Michigan. How's that going for you?
It's going great. The weather is absolutely amazing, a little bit warmer than it was in Michigan, and the people are just as genuine, and I'm absolutely loving it.
That's great.
Love it.
We're jealous up here, I'm in the mid-Atlantic. We're getting pelted with a snowstorm right now. Any of that precipitation getting that far south or not? No.
We have some rain, a little bit, and just north of us has had some flooding, so we're getting some of your nor'easter that you're getting.
Yeah, ours is just slush. So I want to dig into the politics side of things first, and I wanted to find out what was your impetus for getting involved in optometric politics?
Actually, when I was a first-year student, my first week of optometry school, our practice management educator asked us to review a topic, any topic, and present it to our class. I think it was to allow us to speak in front of the class, get the class to know us, but also we could all learn something about optometry. There was a list of questions or topics, and I chose the different alphabet soup, as we call it, of optometry. There's the AOA, the AAO, ARBO, ASCO, NBEO, all these organizations. When I researched it, I found that all of these organizations are critical to the functioning of optometry. Each of them are, but there's one organization that advocates for optometry, and we exist because of them, and that is the AOA. So my first week in optometry school, I knew I'd be an optometrist and that I would devote my career to volunteering and to helping any way I can. I didn't have any idea I'd be the president of the AOA at one point, but I knew that I would continue to work for our profession and our patients as hard as I could. So that's how it all began back the first week of school.
That's a great story. It's so important that everybody at every level get involved on the organizations also that feed into the AOA, so they can start to understand about what it means and what you have, what your different options are for participating and helping out. I always tell people, not everybody can give money, so give time. And not everybody can give time, so give money. That's me. But in any event, I thank you for that. Tell me on the I believe the bottom level of the top are the trustees of the AOA, the group that, can you tell us a little bit about what it means to be a trustee and what's involved with that?
Absolutely. So we have hundreds of volunteers. We have all the state organizations and AFOS and AOSA that are part of our organization, but there are 11 board members for the AOA. 6 are trustees, and then you have 5 with the executive committee. And you're working continuously with the volunteers, with the different committees. You're traveling, you're working for optometry, you're working with other organizations outside of optometry. And really importantly, you're working with the government. You're working with people across the entire nation to make sure that optometry is understood and that optometry is included, especially as you look at this year with this crazy COVID pandemic that we have. Optometry was included in the HHS funding, and we're trying to get included in the COVID vaccinations as well. We're making sure optometry is never left out and that we're included in every aspect of care, healthcare across the nation.
That's excellent. And you worked hard in Arkansas. I heard that was quite an effort and quite impressive. I felt something emotionally about that. It's really advancing the profession at the highest level.
It is. And we have a group within the AOA that helps state organizations to get their ducks in a row to make sure they're ready to move forward with scope expansion. Arkansas was poised to move forward. They did. They fought. There were little blips in the road from what they had to do, but the entire nation came behind Arkansas, and eventually they won, and they are moving forward with their scope. So we're so proud of all of the doctors in Arkansas and across the nation who supported that effort. So congratulations to them and all of optometry for it.
Great. And not to pat our community on the back, but we came together and the members raised $5,000 for that effort. So they should be patting themselves on the back for that. We can use it for good things like that, good things that help the profession and our colleagues in different states. Tell me about your short version of your tenure from trustee through president. I mean, you took this all the way, and you have to have some kind of great story about the stepping stones it took to get there.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, running for election, it's a political position. And so you're campaigning and, you're a doctor, you're practicing, you have children, you have families, you have pets, you're trying to live your life, you're trying to earn some money and make that living. And it's a long road, and you continue to campaign and you work really hard. And like I said, you work with the volunteers and the different committees. And each time I went to a state and presented, I showed the committees that I was liaison to and working with. And it was always 15 to 20 different committees, and I was only one of 11 board members. So imagine 11 people with all these 10 to 11 different groups that they're working with within optometry to advance the profession. Each year it would change. We'd have different states, we'd have different committees, and we made sure that we put our all in each and every time to advance each of those committees and state priorities that they had. So it's a long road. You're out of the office quite a bit. In 2019 to 2020, I was to be out of the office about 120 to 140 days a year. Once March hit, all that changed, and I think we've done even more virtually than had we been traveling, actually. But I was out for a good 100 days during that time, and it's a loss of production at my practice, but it's something that is so important. One more thing I do want to say. When you said if you should volunteer, if you can't spend time, spend money. If you can't spend money, spend time. When you spend time, you meet people with the same passions that you have. If you pick a committee that you're passionate about, you can pick the brains of other optometrists in that area. You can learn from them. You can advance optometry and gain so much more than you put in. So I would encourage everyone to get involved, whether it's at your local, your state, or your national level, working with students, however you can do it. You wouldn't believe the drive that it gives you. And it's great ambition. It's very helpful. It helps you in practice and in every area in your life, I truly believe.
Do them both. Why not, right?
Exactly.
A day in the life of an AOA president. Tell me about a day in the life of maybe a traveling day, for instance.
A traveling day, well, every day, whether it's travel or not, you're going to have emails when you wake up, whether you looked at them at 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning. You're going to have text messages, phone calls. You're going to have AOA staff who are writing you at all hours of the night because they are on it 24/7, 365. But traveling, yes, traveling, getting to places, trying to get to the meeting location, meeting with industry, meeting with state associations, government officials. We've met with multiple people this year: Mitch McConnell, Clyburn of South Carolina, Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. We are optocrats. We are people who work for optometry. So every day was waking up, checking the emails, taking the phone calls, taking the interviews. I think we had 135 different interviews in that 9-month, 10-month time span before COVID hit. I mean, we're constantly out there promoting the profession. It's nonstop.
Did you just come up with optocrats like right here, right now?
I've heard it before, so I plagiarized somebody who I don't know, but thank you to whoever came up with that term.
I love it. You should have just taken credit for it. You know, nobody was going to argue with you. Now, getting a little heavy, I'd like to get your input and get your feelings on where we are in regard to the glass ceiling, the challenges that women face in advancing the profession, whether it's through the national organization or elsewhere, and maybe over the past few years, how that may have changed for better or worse.
Well, I think that, whether you're a woman or a man, you have children, you have a life, you have pets and work, and it's difficult for everybody to juggle all that. I do think it is difficult for women with children that may not understand why you're gone all the time. I try to include my kids as often as I could in every event where they're allowed to be. I didn't see them very much when I was at those events, but they were there and I'd at least be able to see them. It's interesting that when I got on the board, there were 3 women on the board at that time. Now we have 5 women. Out of the 11 people on our board of trustees, we have 5 women on our board. We have a woman who's running next year again. It's a tough road. I won't kid you. It's a tough road, but it's worth it because this is what we do. And just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I don't care about optometry and our patients and advancing the profession. I did it. It was rough, and I'm very happy and proud of what we've done. And I hope that women and men both, it's a struggle for everybody, continue to advance this profession. And 5 out of 11, when you look at the makeup of our industry, it doesn't sound like a lot. Maybe that makeup hopefully will mirror our profession, which is 6 or 7, I believe, out of 10. So Exactly.
we can do better there. That's good to hear. And as I can especially relate as the child of an OD who he was big in the MOA, the Maryland Optometric Association. He was president, but he traveled to all the meetings, and our summer vacation was going to meetings, and Dad was in meetings all day and education, and we only saw him at night, sometimes not even for dinner. So it's a big sacrifice, and we salute you for everything you do for optometry and everything it takes away from your life and your attention to your practice. We know it's a sacrifice. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I hope that, you just said the family basically of optometry is what it alludes to. We used to go to these meetings and bring our families, and you'd go intentionally to get your education, to network, to do the business of optometry, to have a house of delegates, whether it's the state or the National Association. I hope that through all this virtual, we don't lose some of that. I hope that we can continue to be family. My kids have friends from across the nation that they've met that they still nowadays with Instagram and Facebook, well, they're not necessarily on everything, but they try to keep up with all of their friends across the nation. And it's a benefit for them, for all that they've lost over the years, to have these great friends. So I hope we can keep this up even though things have turned so virtual.
I totally feel that, because I remember names of the kids that I met whose fathers were at these meetings as well. The Gazaways of Iowa, for instance, and we're talking from the 70s. I mean, this is a tight connection, and it is wonderful. It's wonderful to keep that going. Can you give a little bit of advice for someone out there interested in following a path similar to the path that you followed?
Yes, absolutely. People ask that. How do I become a board member? Well, you have to have some background. You have to have experience in your either local or state association. You want to know how they function. You want to know how they work. You want to put some effort into it. You want to be part of committees and learn how to work with other committees and work with your staff within your state. And, if you're doing it to become the president of the AOA, that's not the reason. You do it because you want to be involved and give, and then you kind of get pulled in, whether you want to or not. You realize how important the work is that you're doing, and you just keep going and you keep going. So if you're doing it just to be a president of something, that's not what the AOA needs. They need hard workers, and that's what they have. They need people devoted to our profession, wanting to work. So that's how you do it. You start at your local or state level, get involved in an AOA committee at some point, and work with people surrounding you within your organizations.
Great. This is kind of a hokey interviewer question, but what do you consider your greatest professional accomplishment? And I want you to drop all the modesty and just lay it out there for our audience.
Well, I think that we have everybody working on advocacy. We have everyone wanting to advance the profession with the scope. We have that, and that's never going to end. One of my main focuses has always been membership and students. And so in the 2019 to 2020 year, we promoted the schools and the faculty because the faculty get great benefits from the AOA and their state organizations and from their schools working with the AOA. So this past year, we have held all of our board meetings on the campuses at our schools and colleges of optometry. And we interacted with faculty, the administration, the students, the AOS association, and all of the local groups. The one thing that made me happiest this year is we went to a school and we invited the student leaders. I was thinking AOSA, the student government leader, the state leaders, maybe 5, 6 students. One school we went to, we had 19 students stroll into the room, and the room is lined with all these students, standing room only. They were all part of different clubs within the college related to optometry, whether it was sports vision or vision therapy. And they were so proud to be standing there and giving an update to the AOA Board of Trustees and our staff. And they were proud of it. And to see that energy and to see the new leaders we have coming up was so exciting. So while we want to advocate, we can't forget about faculty, about students, and about membership. So it was thrilling this year to me to be able to go to the campuses with the entire board. So we go each year individually as liaisons when things aren't virtual over COVID, but we go each year. But this year we hit the schools with an entire board of trustees, and we had nice conversations with the faculty and administration and students. So it was thrilling.
That's fantastic. You know, when the top people go there, it helps. It becomes part of their education as well, so they don't get introduced to it as a professional. It seems, hopefully, on some level, to be a duty to participate on some level and to be by being exposed to that. I don't know. That's great.
Well, it used to be expected. It used to be your obligation, and you had to, and you were going to. And now, you know, some people think it's just optional, but it's your profession. It's up to you. No one but an optometrist is going to support optometry in our organizations, and people, in fact, across the profession, as far as other professionals, as far as industry, some are working so hard against us. We need every optometrist on board. It's critical.
Agreed. No, you know, we don't want to be coattail riders. We want to actually get out there and make things happen. And it's very important that we get involved that way. So we're about to wrap it up. This last question you'll probably hate me for. So if you see me in person, please don't, no physical assaults. Tell us something that no one in the industry knows about you.
No one knows about me? I'm a pretty open book. People are surprised that I pretty much only like country music. People might know that my favorite hobby is rollerblading.
I don't know if the people know that.
I'm a freak about animals. I don't know. I'm an open book, Alan. I don't know what to give you there.
Then tell us, here, then I'll help you. I'm going to push you along. What animals do you have? I don't think, they know you like animals, but I don't think everybody knows what you have. Tell us about your animals.
Well, I have a puppy we just got over COVID. He's 11 months old almost now. So he's a lab border collie mix. And I have 2 cats, but I pretty much rescues. They're always rescues, dogs that need home, cats that need home. So I love animals, and I hope people go adopt them and treat them well. Spoil them rotten.
That's fantastic. I'm a huge dog guy myself. My soaking wet cold dog is at my feet right here all day as well. Well, listen, I want to thank you for joining us and being part of this brand new effort we're doing to drive knowledge and education and information to the ODs out there. I want to thank you for what you bring to the industry and what you bring to me as a friend. And I hope you're staying safe and warm, and look forward to the next time we get to connect at a real event.
Well, thank you, Alan. You're a very dear friend. I appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do for optometry. So, Dr. Glazier, thank you for having me here tonight. I appreciate it.